Hey guy, it's been a while. Work's been pretty busy, and yeah, work's been pretty busy. There's been a lot going on. I've also sort of been dipping into other card games. Just to like wait until O9 comes out. But yeah, I'm still trying to do testing. So a lot of tier lists recently have Robin like sort of off the tier list, which makes sense. I kind of agree with it. Just because we're in a very swarm slash flood based meta, and Robin kind of struggles with it. Actually, I've been trying to learn how to play Pluffy, actually, just because I want to learn how that deck plays, so I could sort of counter with Robin. Because I already know how Dofi plays. I used to play Dofi, and everybody's playing Dofi, so everyone just has stuff online. Pluffy is also, I think, considered to be the second best deck, which is crazy. Like an OP01 and OP05 leader being the two best decks in OP09, which is pretty nuts. Those star decks are cracked. That being said, I'm trying to take some inspiration from the Straw Hat package in the starter deck for Pluffy and sort of apply that to Robin. Because, as I said, Robin struggles with flooding the board. Like, a lot of the plays I mentioned, like, let's see here. So, with the, like, my very first list, it's sort of revolving around these two. So, like, you'll have 6, and then you'll swing with these 3. But at that point, Dofi or Pluffy would already have, like, a full board. And it's hard to go toe for toe against a full board. And I think Broke is sort of the same way. Like, you have these guys on, like, ideally you have these two or these two on the board, and it's just like there's a lot of characters on the other board. It's hard to combat that. So I'm trying to apply that to this, to my new Robin leader, to my new Robin deck. We're going back to Straw Hat. We're dropping the Ace. We're dropping the Linlins. Everything is searchable except for Yamato. And Yamato is kind of important because if we defend life early, or if we force them to counter early, again, we're still trying to bleed their hand, but like in a different way. Also, it's a way for us to stall them until we hit Yamato, because if we can sort of swing at them and empty out their hand, so they're maintaining their life, and if we're able to maintain our hand and maintain our life high enough, like, you could pop like a 6 cost with Yamato, because you're just. I think this deck double ramps. I think you want to go second, just because you can only ramp once, or you should only ramp once. But there are times you're gonna have to double ramp. So that's why Yamato's staying. To explain the actual new cards, because everything else is pretty standard, aside from Rush Luffy. So we're adding Luffytaro. These 3 cards are in the new starter deck. Well, not that one. This one. So this is. I wish these 2 cards, Zoro and Robin, were 5 costs, just so you could play them out. Because like, if you could play these out with him, that's kind of cracked. So right now, Luffytaro can only play Sanji. Like, it's not the greatest combo, just because I don't have a lot of targets. The only 2 targets I have are these 2. But these are the only 2 I need, because usually I'd have one of these on the board before I play out Luffytaro, or the other way around, depending on how the tempo of the game is going. If it's a little slower, I'll sort of go for establishing my banish first. If it's more flooding slash swarm, then I'm going to establish board first with these 3 cards. Everything else is relatively the same. Onami, just because, the meta sort of settling down, and Dofi and Pluffy are sort of, remaining at that top spot, is what like a lot of people from Japan are saying. Onami is super valuable, super duper valuable, just because you could trash a card to pop a 5 cost or less, and most of the flood is 5 cost or less. Like, you're not going to be able to pop Luffytaro, you're not going to be able to pop the 6 Sanji, but you'll be able to pop the Sanji, the 5 Sanji, Nami, anything Dofi plays out, and other cards. And also, like, Onami. I just realized the Onami trigger is better than this one, because this you have to trash a card. I guess you gotta draw, but like this you just pop it. So yeah, I don't know. I remember thinking that, I'm just like, wow, this trigger is better than this one. Maybe I should split in between, but It's apples and oranges, or it's apples to apples. They're pretty much the same thing. They're both Nami, anyways. But yeah, aside from that, everything else is pretty standard to my first Robin list, which is actually kind of funny because I made the call that like, okay, it's not the exact call I'm making now, but it's sort of similar. Like when Robin was released and I saw her effect, everyone was like, "Oh shit, you gotta trash a card." I'm like, no, you run a draw engine with Robin, right? You play these 3 cards because these 3 cards draw you cards. Like this plays out this, and this gives you a card whenever you swing. This gives you a card on play. So like you just get cards back in your hand, and that you use to counter. So you're sort of countering a little easier because that helps you stall for Yamato. And then Luffy is a good finisher. Again, everything else pretty standard. We're running double searches again. Again, not necessarily a big fan. I will say this one is a little bit more prone to bricking. Not all that much, but I don't know. Just because you're running double searchers, like you can't search out Luffy. You can't search out any of your Straw Hat with this guy. You can search pretty much everything. You can search everything except Ohara and Yamato with Law, but you can't search Straw Hat with Clover. So that's like the big downside, because again, my issue with double searching is just you're prone to bricking, and like there's no stopping it. Like it's gonna happen, and I'll be honest. I have 2 games coming up. One of them is a limb game. I'll explain why later, but the Pluffy game, I was trying to get a Pluffy game, and what I was noticing is that I'm bricking a lot. I'm bricking a lot with these 2 searchers, but I don't know, it is what it is. That's what you get for running 2 searchers and 2 packages. It's also why I'm not a fan of it, but whatever. But yeah, so our 2 matches that I have coming up, it's Lim and a Pluffy match. I'm trying to like reduce the amount of matches just because I don't have a lot of time and editing takes long. I'm learning that. Also, so the reason why I'm doing like a Lim match is because I think Lim recently won a flagship. Yeah, so like a Lim recently won a flagship. I think this is a flagship. They won all 5 rounds. It was against RP Luffy, Blackbeard, Yamato, Doffy, and Bonnie. And I could see why. A lot of people shit on Lim. I didn't think she was that bad just because she kind of floods, and she floods high. It's just everything's rested and you kind of have to give up cards to defend it. But like, if you play cards that are big enough, you're just not going to be able to like kill the cards they're flooding. It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird. Like, I never really thought that Lim was that bad. I actually kind of wanted to try her out. So yeah, just because, and she also recently won a flagship, so it seems like people are figuring her out. Plus, there's a lot of good Odyssey cards in 09. That's me slightly coping for Robin. Lim recently won a flagship, and I don't think she's that bad. Like, again, because we're in a flood meta, and Lim sort of does that, because like she's able to play out like, I'm not even sure what her effect is, but she's able to flood out the board with like cards that are higher than what the game states at, if that makes sense. So they're high swings early, and it's hard to get rid of them because you have to invest so much Dawn into it, or you could build your own board. And again, because we're in a Swarm meta, like you're always going to prioritize board. So Lim kind of does that pretty well. So I think she's actually pretty good in this. She's kind of slept on in my opinion. So that's the reason why I have a Lim match. I just want to kind of show off how Robin would play into it, especially with this new package. Yeah, so that's why we're playing against Lim, or that's why I want to get a Lim round in there. And then Pluffy, just because I think Robin loses to both Doffy and Pluffy just because they flood the board faster than she does, or she is able to. But at the same time, I kind of want to show off how this list would go into Pluffy. That round specifically, it was a little weird. I felt like I was going to lose, but I guess they also felt like they were going to lose. So it's kind of strange, But yeah, you'll see what I mean when we get to that video. But let's head there. Okay, so here's the Lim match. So normally, I know I said I want to go second, but specifically against Lim, we want to go first, just because Lim's entire curve is on going first. Because she hits 3 Dawn, then she could play out a Limb Searcher, the Limb Odyssey Searcher, or just play out any other card with Leader Effect and Ramp 1. She'll probably do that even with Limb, just because she gets the Ramp. So that's why she wants to go first. I know we normally want to go second, but in this case, we kind of want to go first to take that away because that's pretty powerful. Another thing, so this hand is okay. Right now, I know that Lim wants to swarm the board and that's how she's going to play. So in my hand, I'm looking for a Luffytaro, Sanji, Nami, which we do get, or a Law Searcher to at least get any of those cards. Right now, I'm not necessarily concerned about Zoro or Robin, just because, you know, the board is more important, and I think the way Lim plays, she actually loses a lot of cards. She doesn't really run that many counters, so we mulligan. Unfortunately, the mulligan sucks. Like 3. I mean, I was looking for Sanji, but like not that many. It's pretty rough. So they're gonna play out the Law Searcher. We're gonna play one of our own. We're going to find a Zoro just because, you know, not really what we're looking for. We were actually looking for the Luffytaro or a Robin, just so we could banish this next life. So we're at 4 Dawn. We're at 4 Dawn. Yeah, we went first. Yeah, sorry, I had to remember for a second. So we went first. So we ramp once. Unfortunately, we're going to have to ramp twice. So here, check this out. So they played out Sabo super early. And you see, I haven't seen this card, so I'm just checking the effect here. So if you have 3 or more rested characters, draw 1 card. So what that's telling me is that he's going to swing Sabo, empty swing Law, and then play out, sorry. He's going to swing, empty swing Law, play out a card because it's rested, and then swing them with this guy to draw a card. So that's actually pretty cool tech. My guess is that they just didn't have a Dofi, because usually they'd want to play out the Dofi as soon as possible because it is a blocker. And we are technically a banish leader. So this, I know, this is when you have to kind of double ramp, which is unfortunate. Because again, you saw that I didn't really have that many cards to ramp with, because my hand is just Sanji's. So we're gonna try and get rid of that as soon as possible. Okay, so they took a lot of time to think here. But I think they're gonna play out the Odyssey Luffy, which actually rests the Zoro, which tells me that they're actually targeting me. So, how much Dawn do they have? They have 7 Dawn. I'll be honest, I don't know that many of Lim's plays, so I'm just like guessing the dark. But yeah, they are empty swinging, so we just do that. They're gonna play out a card. They're gonna ramp and play out a card. This card, it actually rests a 6 or less, so yeah, that tells me they're targeting it. So I know it's weird to save this, but I honestly think we do save it just because, like, if we're fighting for, again, we're fighting for a board. So here's also what I'm thinking. This is also why we're investing counter, just because look at our life, we're at 6. He's only playing 5 costs. These cards are 5 costs. So Yamato pops anything on the board. So realistically, we could actually get rid of his entire board because Law kills Law. Zoro can try to kill one of these, and then Yamato just kills one of these auto. So we're sitting in a pretty good spot to clear out their entire board. So let's see what they do. Oh, sorry. Let's see what we do. Yeah, so we're gonna kill the Law. We're gonna attack the leader. So the reason why we attack the leader, I think we're on 9 Dawn. We attack the leader to get cards out of their hands. Yep, so we got a 1k counter out of their hand. Okay, we KO the Sabo. I will say it would have been better for us to KO with Zoro first, and then play out Yamato, because this shows what our play is going to be. Like, we're just fighting for the board, not necessarily life. So we could either try to kill the Luffy, which is relatively difficult because we are 7k and they are 6k. It only takes a 2k. So I'd actually rather go for life. just because it forces either them to drop hand or to banish their life, which puts them at lethal next turn actually, if we're able to, you know, get a rush card, because 100% they try to go for this. Oh wait, sorry, no, I'm stupid. So I know I said I don't know Lim all that much, but what I do know is that Lims love playing the 9-drop Zoro, just because, again, with the because it is unfortunate that they didn't get the Dofi, but ideally they have a shit ton of Dofis on board, and then they play out the Zoro, so then the Zoro just is defended. The rest of Zoro is just defended by the Dofis. Plus, it's a pretty high, like, Dawn investment to get rid of it, so you know that's how it is. Also, pretty lucky trigger. Not gonna lie, we pop his only other attacker, then he plays out the Zoro. And then honestly here, we could go for game. Or honestly, we could go for board. Yamato's a 9 cost and Zoro's a 9 cost. So what we could do, actually, is we could threaten game with Robin and Zoro. And then make him drop all his counter. And then go for the Zoro with Yamato. And just fingers crossed he doesn't have a 1k counter. So, or actually no, because Zoro's a 7 cost. So we actually only need 2 down for him. So we're gonna give, we're gonna kill him with that. Then we're gonna go 9 into lead. I love swinging 9. I don't know why, I just love swinging 9. You have to give up 3 cards. So there you go. We're not gonna ramp. There's no point in ramping. And then Zoro, okay, you either drop your hand or you win. And then when he drops his hand, we just go after the Zoro, because that's just 13 into Zoro. He drops his hand, we go into Zoro, and then that's just game. Come on, Tomoe, don't hesitate. Come on, don't hesitate. Zoro's right there. There we go. Bang. Because, also part of the reason why Lim likes going first is because she gets to 9 super fast. And Zoro's kind of her win condition. Because like if we didn't have the play, we just lose off of Zoro. So GG's. Pretty fun matchup. There is a lot of potential with Lim, in my opinion, especially with all the Odyssey support that OP09 got. Me personally, I think there's also a lot of potential with Robin. It's just the support's not out yet. She only got like 3 cards. I know that's like my cope, but like, you know, give her more love, you know. Anyways, so next is going to be the Pluffy match. That one's a little more strange, I'll be honest. I'll just see you on the other side. Okay. Okay, so here's the Pluffy match. This is a strange match. Let's actually see what our starting hand was and why I mulliganed. Okay, so there's a Luffytaro here. I'll be honest, my focus is to try and flood while maintaining hand size. So I do want the Luffytaro, and the Onami's okay. However, I will say the issue here is there's no cards to ramp with. So like we only have the Olivia to ramp with, and we kind of don't want to use that to ramp, so we're gonna do some soul searching. Okay, that's a little better. It's not the greatest, but you know, we have a search. We can search out another trigger to give us another ramp card. And there we go, we got a ramp card. We're gonna search for the Robin anyways. We don't find it, so we're just gonna cycle out the Clover. We did lose opportunity on 2Ks, but it's whatever. They hit us. We play out the Sol from life. That's fine. I mean, yellow things, am I right? Here I imagine we just full swing. There's no reason for us to not full swing and then just ramp with Onami. I want to keep the Egg Nami just in case he plays up Bon Clay. Because again, Bon Clay is going to be pretty rough for us. If we end up playing Yamato, then he copies Yamato. But again, like right now, it's kind of a rough start already. He already defined a 6k, and he still could play out another card. He's going to take life, so that prevents Robin effect. He gets the Sanji rush. He's going to go into leader to empty out our hand, and then try to go for the salt to empty out our hand even more. That's fine. I'll be honest, I should have trashed the Zoro. For some reason, I didn't think it was counter. Like, I just see a full art and I'm like, no, that's not counter. But it was counter. We should have counter out with Zoro because we want to keep that Nami. So here's a bit of a strange situation. I want to try and get rid of that Zoro. But if I want to get rid of the Zoro while putting out a Zoro. I want to get rid of this Zoro while putting out a banished Zoro. That's what I was trying to say. So normally I do like a one onto Robin, then swing to Zoro, and then that just wouldn't work just because that's an easy counter. 8K, that's also kind of an easy counter, but I'm assuming he doesn't counter out just because of like late game, and he wants to maintain as big as hand size as he could. Then we play out this banished Zoro. So our board's getting a little better. It's not the greatest, I'll be honest, because he is at 8 Dawn. He could play a Luffytaro. I'm guessing he is because he's doing a blank swing with Sanji. We play out the Frankie. Honestly, we could have kept the Frankie, but I want to go wide as well. I want to match his board essentially. He plays out the Clay, plays out the Onami, and then he's leaving a Dawn up for event. So he defined a blocker. He has a character that could copy any of my stuff. We're gonna take that. We could have countered it. We could have taken that. Honestly, I'm kind of just like looking for triggers at this point, so that's why I take it. Not necessarily the way to play the game, but you know, we're kind of desperate at this point. But here's the weird part, and here's why I'm a little confused at this game specifically. Because in my head, I know I kind of already lost, just because he has a shit ton of cards, plus he has the Gum Gum Gavel, or whatever, the Bigfoot, the one cost Bigfoot, that's what I'm gonna call it. So I know I can't go for a game, plus he has a blocker anyways, and there's a Sanji here. Also, next turn he will have access to Rush Luffy, so I want to actually play out both blockers, because if he has Usopp, if he has the Usopp that rests like a 5 cost or less, he could rest this guy then just go for a game. But if I put down 2 more blockers, I still have 4 cards, and you know that I think 4 cards is pretty. It's slightly intimidating. You know, they could all be 2Ks, so that's how I'm thinking about it. So what I want to do, if that's the way I'm thinking about it, I want to go for board. I want to minimize as much swings as he could. So I know Sanji could swing, I know Clay could swing, and I know Luffy could swing. And then potentially, I know a 9 Luffy could also swing. So that's 4 swings. So, and one of those swings is going to match like a character I have on board, probably the Zoro. And honestly, if I play out a Rush Luffy, that's going to be worse because it's 10k. So he's going to have 2 10k swings. So I don't want to play out anything right now, or I don't want to play anything high power. I kind of want to do with what I have on board. So I want to try and minimize his board as much as possible. If he could rest one of my blockers, then what's it called? I'll have 2 blockers. So I need to survive, at least 2 hits. So 1, 2, 3, that's 3 hits. Then Luffy's 4. And then, you know, whatever counter we have in hand. But if I get rid of the Sanji, then he'll only have 3 swings, and then I could probably try and bluff him for the win. Because honestly, actually, I don't even think I'm in a position to go for a game here, just because, he has way too many cards, and this is this could be a bluff. This could be a bluff, but this probably means he has the event in hand, especially because he trashed one. That's sort of what's going on in my head. What I'm gonna do here is, I think what I do is I swing Frankie first just to try and empty his hand. Honestly, if I was the Pluffy here, I would just take life because I have too many cards. I probably have a shit ton of counter. There's no way I can go for a game, especially because he has a blocker. So I would just take the life if I swing Frankie. So we swing Frankie. Let's see what he does. So he counters. Okay, that's actually great. We dump out his hand. It's 6 to 7 cards in hand. Okay, so what we're going to do is we can banish Zoro into life to get more cards out of his hand, or bait the blocker, or banish his life. So that's 3 possible outcomes that are favorable in and for us. So what does he do here? Maybe just Nami block actually. Yeah. So now that he Nami blocked, I'm going through this one by one because this is kind of a big turn. I think it's also the last turn. But yeah, so he does the Nami block. So that opens up Sanji for like a 7k swing. Because again, I want to play out, I'm at 9 down and I want to play out these 2 blockers. So we're gonna go, it's not the greatest, but we're gonna go 7k into Sanji. So what does he do? He counters out with 2k. And then he concedes, which I'm a little confused. And I'm looking at his hand and I'm still a little confused. Because let's see what his options are here. Because I was trying to figure out why. I was trying to figure out why he conceded. Because I still think it was his game to win. Because, I mean, so I had... Yeah, so, sorry. I was wondering why 3 Dom was tapped. It was because that was when I clicked on... Sol. But, so if I play out 2 blockers, I have 3 blockers. He could rest 2 blockers, right? But then he can't play the Luffy. So that means he's left with a... Actually, how much down would he be at? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He'd be at 10. So if he's at 10, so 3-3, he could rest 2 blockers. So he's left at 4 down. He could copy the 7. I have 4 cards in hand, so I guess he was shading that like these were just a bunch of counter. Obviously it wasn't, but he doesn't know that. So he probably thought that this was a lot of counter. And honestly, if we played out 2 blockers, and he plays out the Rush Luffy, he just can't do anything else because we just block with all 3. Or we block with 2. We block with like Nami, Sol, then just have another Sol up, and then counter with Sol. So that's if he played the 9 Luffy. If he used the event, that would have been kind of a waste because he does need to trash. Honestly, I would actually consider using the event because as the Pluffy, like if I have this hand, I'm sort of seeing game because I have cards that could rest potential blockers. I have a rush card and I have a board. I have a Monclay that could copy it. So I have a 7k and I believe Sanji's also 7k. So I have 2 7ks and whatever this guy is. However much you pump him up. So that's a lot. But then again, we did have 6 cards, so maybe it was just a good bluff on our hands. Like maybe that was the case. Either way, like we know we lost, but he didn't know we lost, so he conceded. But then like it was premature because I'm 100% sure that he was kind of upset when he saw our hand because we just had shit. But yeah, a little bit more of a confusing game. Yeah, but I know I didn't really get to show. I got to show off the Pluffy, the Luffytaro in the Lim game, I believe. But yeah, this game was theirs to lose, most definitely. But you know, I guess a win's a win. But yeah, so yeah, I'll see you guys in the 3, 2, 1. But yeah, so that's this match. Still a rough matchup for Robin. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the outro. Okay, so I just realized that I didn't actually showcase this combo. I'll be honest, I thought I recorded it. I guess I didn't. I do know that I hit one against a Bonnie, so here's a screenshot. 1, 2, 3, bang. But yeah, so like you see how this sort of works against Bonnie. Like you have so first of all, you're flooding the board with the Luffy and the Sanji, and the Sanji just constantly refills your hand while your opponent is losing hand, especially an opponent like Bonnie who's sort of reliant on hand. And I also know that Bonnie's sort of been rising up the ranks in the East for 09. So yeah, like just getting card advantage while sort of dwindling your opponent's cards, which is the idea of like this combo. I don't really have any other targets for this, so I'm kind of reliant on these 2 cards. Obviously these other cards work on their own, but like this is sort of like your main tech. Obviously with the Nami, like you saw with the last Pluffy game, we were gonna play out the Nami blocker. It's just another blocker. that gets you more cards. So again, that's pretty good. I guess we could have cycled out the. Now I think about it, we could have cycled for more counter. So that was pretty good. But aside from that, I don't really know any other targets. Just because I'm not sure. Like I was trying to search like other Straw Hat cards, and honestly, I don't think there's all them. I mean, I guess maybe Zoro. Oh, sorry, Sanji, but this is super conditional. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, if you have any idea, maybe Jinbei, I'm not sure. But yeah, like if you have any suggestion, just leave it in the comment below. Because I think there's something here. I think there's something with this card in this deck. But yeah, just going through the rest of the cards, like you saw the value with Yamato in the Lim matchup. Like we literally just cleared their board like super fast with like those 2 swings and then the Yamato. So pretty good if you're able to defend your life. But yeah, that's sort of this list. There's a lot of fun cooks. There's a lot of fun cooks with Robin. I think I'm gonna be a toss up between my Douglas Bullets Bon Clay deck and then this one, just depending on how I want to play. I'm sort of playing like that with Yamato. Like I'm playing both Sky Island and Samurai. It's just how I feel that day, honestly. But obviously, if I'm going to like an event and I know that most of it's going to be like a Swarm deck, I'm probably going to try and play this deck. If I know it's going to be a more taller meta, then I'll play this deck. So it goes both ways. It goes both ways. I think Robin's sort of like Yamato because like it's a good leader ability. It's just the cards aren't there yet. Like Yamato, I think Robin is going to get like good support in like upcoming sets. Like I'm crossing my fingers for for OP09 and the EBO2. Because EBO2 was kind of where Yamato was starting to get some headway, and then Samurai came out in 07, and then it spawned again. I think Robin's in the similar vein. I'm gonna continue to cook with Robin. I'm gonna try and cook with Uta. I know that there's someone who left a comment on one of my Uta videos saying add in Brachio Bomber. Let me just show you what this is. It's just a 6 cost, pop a character, pop a 6 or less, and then get a Dawn active. So this kind of prevents you from trashing a card, and it's also a card you can trash. But then at the same time, you're not really building board. It might work better in Uta than it does in Robin, but that's for me to test in the future. And maybe I know York's put out a new bowl list. I kind of want to play around with that just because I've been playtesting it at my locals and solo playing, and it's pretty fun. It feels better because like I feel like the bowl list I had right now, or I guess before, it felt too much like a wannabe Dofi. But the list that I have now for Boa, it feels more original to Boa. So yeah, I'm gonna give that a shot. Hopefully soon. I know I've been kind of busy with work and all. But yeah, guys, if you have any suggestions, or questions, just leave them down below. I actually know that there are some people who were asking for deck lists. So I'll actually just like copy this deck list and put it into the description, just so people could also try out this list. Maybe switch up a few things. Just like get some other Robin cooks, because there's potential here. No one's cracked Robin yet. I think everybody cracked every other single leader in 09 except for Robin. So I think this is gonna be super fun to play around with. But yeah, just let me know what you think. Let me know if you have any suggestions or changes to make, and yeah, stay tuned for more. Yeah, see ya.